The Golden State Warriors are at a crossroads, an aging dynasty, a wavering identity, and rising pressure from fans and ownership to find a path forward. But in the middle of this uncertainty, a spark has emerged, one that could help guide this franchise through its next phase. A 6'4" rookie out of Santa Clara, Podziemski doesn't just play like a warrior, he thinks like one. He plays with heart, IQ, toughness, and vision. And with each passing game, it's becoming harder to ignore the real possibility that Brandon Podziemski might not just be a complementary piece. He could be the connective tissue that defines the next chapter of Warriors basketball. Let's dive deep into how Brandon Podziemski is transforming the Golden State Warriors' identity and why his emergence might be the key to saving the franchise. The Warriors' system is notoriously difficult for rookies to grasp. Countless prospects have entered the system with potential, only to fade into obscurity. James Wiseman, Jordan Bell, Jacob Evans, even Moses Moody has struggled to consistently crack the rotation. So when the Warriors used the 19th overall pick in 2023 on Podziemski, many fans were skeptical. But from the moment he touched the court, it was clear. This kid just gets it. Podziemski quickly gained Steve Kerr's trust, something that typically takes young players a season or longer. He communicates on defense, rotates smartly, rebounds like a big, and moves off ball like he's been watching Steph and Klay film since middle school. He brings an old-school grit, but combines it with modern analytics and self-awareness. That blend is rare. His basketball IQ has been praised by everyone from Steve Kerr to Draymond Green. His ability to process reads in real time and make quick decisions mirrors the kind of trust-based system Golden State relies on. The Warriors' offense isn't built on isolations or ball domination. It's about reads, flow, and timing. And Podziemski doesn't just survive in that system. He thrives in it. Podziemski doesn't carry himself like a rookie. He barks at veterans, corrects rotations, and has no problem taking big shots. That vocal leadership, something even the Warriors' veterans have noted, makes him stand out. He's not afraid of the moment, not afraid to be wrong, and not afraid to correct players making mistakes, even if they're on max contracts. This kind of fearless communication is critical. The Warriors lost that edge when veterans like Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston retired. Their quiet accountability and communication held the locker room together. Podziemski is helping to bring that back. On the court, he's constantly directing traffic. He calls out screens, recognizes mismatches, and reacts quickly when the defense collapses. On offense, he cuts with purpose, screens off ball, and does all the little things that show up in the margins, the things that win championships. Statistically, Podziemski won't blow you away. He's not averaging 25 points per game. But look closer. He fills the box score in ways that show his full value. He routinely puts up 10 to 12 points, 6 to 8 rebounds, 4 to 6 assists, a steal or two, and always ends up with 1 or 2 "how did he get that" hustle plays. He leads all guards in rookie rebounding, is among the leaders in charges drawn, and has some of the highest deflection rates on the team. He's doing the things that don't show up in highlight reels, but are absolutely essential to winning basketball. Steve Kerr has even compared him to Dante DiVincenzo, but with better court vision and long-term upside. What makes this even more impressive is how well he's adjusted to a roster full of strong personalities and championship egos. He hasn't shrunk. He's adapted, blended, and inserted himself as a glue guy who bridges gaps between lineups. The Warriors have built their identity around Steph Curry for over a decade. Everything flows through him, but Steph is 36. Draymond is aging. Klay is on the decline. And the question looms, who carries the torch next? Jonathan Kuminga? Maybe. He's still inconsistent. Moses Moody? Still up and down. But Brandon Podziemski? He's consistent. He plays the same way night after night, regardless of role, matchup, or pressure. He's even shown flashes of running the offense, initiating sets, playing pick and roll, and dictating tempo. He won't ever be the next Steph Curry. No one will. But he can be the guy who ensures the Warriors don't fall apart when Steph eventually steps away. Now here's where things get complicated. The Warriors are entering a pivotal offseason. Rumors are swirling around potential trades. Kevin Durant, OG Anunoby, Devin Vassell, and even calls about Lauri Markkanen. If the Warriors want to bring in a star, they'll need to include young talent. Podziemski is on every opposing team's list. And that's the dilemma. How much do you value a rising young player who fits your system, understands your culture, and hasn't even hit his ceiling yet? The Warriors will have to decide between short-term firepower and long-term identity. Trading Podziemski for a win-now piece might give Steph a better shot at one last ring, but it could also gut the foundation of what's coming next. If Golden State trades Podziemski and it backfires, they don't just lose a good player. They lose the heart and brain of the system they've been trying to replicate since 2015. He's not flashy, he's not a box office star, but he's their guy, and in Golden State's system, that might be more valuable than raw talent alone. Every dynasty has a transitional moment when a young player steps up and reminds everyone that the culture still matters, that the torch can be passed, that the identity can evolve without being lost. Podziemski's breakout feels symbolic, a reminder that the Warriors don't need to abandon their core philosophy to succeed in a post-Curry era. They just need players who understand it on a cellular level. He's not the future by default. He's the future because he's earned it. And in a league obsessed with quick fixes and star chasing, that kind of internal development is priceless. Brandon Podziemski represents more than just a good draft pick. He's a sign that the Warriors still have the blueprint and that it still works when executed properly. The Warriors don't need to reinvent themselves. They don't need to chase a new identity. What they need are players like Podziemski, who embody the principles that made Golden State a dynasty in the first place. Movement, trust, defense, unselfishness, IQ, grit. If they keep him, they're betting on their system, on development, on culture, and most importantly, on themselves. One of the most overlooked aspects of Brandon Podziemski's rise is his emphasis on craft over flash. In today's NBA, many young guards enter the league trying to go viral, poster dunks, deep logo threes, or flashy crossovers. But Podziemski brings something refreshingly different. An old-school, fundamentally sound approach rooted in decision-making and efficiency. He plays with an economy of motion, no wasted dribbles, no bad shots. Every possession, he's calculating, how can I give my team the best possible look? That's why his teammates respect him, not just because he hustles, but because he doesn't try to play hero ball. He plays smart. And that's something Golden State, a team built on beautiful, efficient basketball, values more than anything. And let's be honest, how many rookies come into the NBA with a signature floater package, advanced footwork in traffic, and a willingness to box out 6'10" big men? He's not here to look cool. He's here to win. That's rare. Podziemski's emergence has also shifted the internal development hierarchy within the Warriors' young core. Suddenly, he's not just fighting for minutes, he's earning them over Moses Moody and sometimes even Jonathan Kuminga. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it's a wake-up call. Moody, for example, has had multiple chances to break into the rotation, but his passivity and inconsistent assertiveness have held him back. In contrast, Podziemski demands attention with how active and vocal he is on the floor. Kuminga has all the physical tools in the world, but what Podziemski lacks in athleticism, he makes up for with mental reps, anticipation, and awareness. And that creates internal competition, the good kind. If Moody and Kuminga want to be part of the Warriors' future, they need to match the consistency and professionalism Podziemski brings every single night. It also speaks volumes that Steve Kerr trusts Podziemski with late-game minutes in tight situations. That kind of confidence from the coaching staff creates ripple effects, and it forces everyone else to raise their floor just to keep up. If you're a longtime Warriors fan, watching Podziemski might give you déjà vu, because his game evokes shades of past fan favorites, not necessarily stars, but players who made the system function at the highest level. Think Sean Livingston. Think Leandro Barbosa, even Andre Iguodala in terms of IQ and quiet leadership. These weren't 25-point scorers, but they were the brain of the second unit. They stabilized chaos. They made the extra pass. They got stops, and they never forced the issue. Podziemski has the chance to be a modern version of those guys, with more upside. In some ways, he's what the Warriors always hoped Jordan Poole would become. A smart, decisive guard who fits within the system and can turn it up when needed, without becoming a distraction. And while he doesn't have the handle or ISO scoring of Poole, he's more trustworthy. You can leave him in the game and not worry about bad shots, defensive lapses, or mental breakdowns. In the Warriors system, trust is currency, and Podziemski is already rich. This is the million-dollar question. Can Podziemski be more than just a glue guy? Can he be part of the next Warriors core, alongside Kuminga, Trace Jackson-Davis, and whoever else the team builds around post-Curry? The early signs say yes. He's shown the ability to scale his role up or down depending on who he's on the floor with. He can run point, he can play off-ball, he can defend multiple positions, and he can thrive in both structured sets and broken plays. He also fits what Golden State wants to be going forward. A team that plays fast, plays smart, and defends hard. That means the Warriors might not need to go star-chasing if Podziemski keeps developing, because he already fits the blueprint. What he needs now is reps and a long runway. If the Warriors are smart, they'll give him that and let him grow into a core role, not just pigeonhole him into a scrappy role-player box. Because the truth is, guys like Brandon Podziemski don't come around often. And when they do, you build around them, not over them. The modern NBA guard is usually one of two things: a high-volume scorer or a hyper-athletic rim attacker. Think Anthony Edwards, think Ja Morant, think Tyrese Maxey. Brandon Podziemski doesn't fit that mold. He's not blowing past defenders with raw speed or jumping over centers, and yet he's producing efficiently, consistently. Why? Because he's redefining what value looks like in a guard. His handle is tight but not flashy. His shot is clean but not over-relied on. He reads the floor 2 passes ahead, manipulates defenders with angles, and makes plays that don't always show up in the box score. That's a different kind of dangerous. In an NBA increasingly obsessed with flash, Podziemski is a reminder that feel, IQ, and fundamentals still win games, especially in the playoffs. Veterans don't just hand out respect, especially on a team like Golden State, where guys like Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry have seen it all. And yet, it's clear from the body language, post-game interviews, and on-court dynamics that the vets trust Podziemski. Draymond talks to him like a peer. Klay gives him spacing. Curry celebrates his hustle plays. That doesn't happen unless you've earned your place. Trust comes from repetition, film study, and making the right play when the pressure is on. Podziemski has nailed those tests repeatedly. He rotates on time, he communicates, he rebounds like a big. And he holds teammates accountable, not with ego, but with presence. In a league filled with players chasing stats, that kind of maturity is rare, and exactly what the Warriors need to extend their dynasty in a new form. Podziemski didn't just walk into the league like this. His development has been fast-tracked by a system that knows how to nurture smart, willing learners. The Warriors' player development staff deserves credit. So does Steve Kerr. So do the vets. They've created an environment where a 19th pick from Santa Clara can step into high-stakes moments like he's a 10-year vet. But it's also a testament to the Warriors' belief in basketball IQ and character over raw hype. This is the same organization that believed in Steph Curry's vision, trusted Draymond's defense, and gave Jordan Poole a multi-year leash. They don't just scout talent, they invest in fit. Podziemski is a product of that ecosystem, and proof that the culture still works. That's good news for fans worried about what happens after the Big Three. The blueprint is still intact. It just looks younger now. There's one underrated part of Podziemski's game that doesn't get talked about enough: his emotional intelligence. He's always talking. Always encouraging, always locked in. When a teammate messes up, he doesn't sulk, he communicates. When the Warriors go on a run, he doesn't get caught up in the moment, he stays focused. That maturity is part of what separates him from most rookies. He thinks like a vet. That's why he doesn't shy away from responsibility. He wants to guard bigger players. He wants to rebound. He wants to be the one diving on the floor, and because of that, his presence makes the entire team better. Not just on the scoreboard, but in the locker room, in practice, and during those gritty stretches of games where discipline matters more than talent. In a league full of ego, Podziemski's humility and awareness might be his most elite skills. This is where it all ties together. Brandon Podziemski might not just be part of the Warriors' future, he might be the identity of it. Smart, gritty, unselfish, balanced. He represents a new kind of Warriors DNA, less about superstardom, more about synergy. Less about isolation, more about execution. And that's the direction this franchise is heading, whether fans are ready for it or not, because the Warriors don't need a new Steph, they need a new era, one that honors what was built, while evolving into what's next. Podziemski is proof that the transition doesn't have to be painful. It can be beautiful if the right pieces are embraced. And if Golden State continues to build around high IQ, high effort, versatile players like him, the dynasty won't end. It'll just look different. Most young guards want the ball in their hands to make an impact. Podziemski, he's learned the art of controlling the game without it. His off-ball movement is elite. He cuts with purpose. He screens with timing. He relocates like a veteran shooter. He doesn't just float in space. He manipulates it. And by doing so, he bends defenses without needing plays called for him. That's rare for a rookie. It's even rarer in today's ball-dominant era. The Warriors' motion system thrives on players who understand spacing, timing, and unselfish movement. Podziemski fits into that blueprint better than any young guard they've had since the early days of Steph and Klay. He doesn't need 15 dribbles to impact the game. He just needs half a step and a smart read. That's how you quietly dominate. That's how you become a winning player. There's something different about guys who weren't handed their NBA status on a silver platter. Podziemski wasn't a lottery pick. He wasn't a one-and-done blue chip. He transferred schools. He had to grind for everything. That chip on his shoulder shows up every night. He plays like a guy who doesn't know if he'll have a job tomorrow, diving for loose balls, talking on defense, hustling in garbage time like it's Game 7. And the best part, it's not performative. It's real. It's who he is. The Warriors have had talent before, but they haven't always had hungry role players in recent years. Guys who bring edge, fight, and desperation to a regular season game in February. Podziemski is setting the tone, and that's contagious. Championship cultures are built on that kind of hunger, and he's feeding the entire locker room. Let's talk about something that gets overlooked. Podziemski's rebounding. He's a 6'4" guard who rebounds like a power forward. He doesn't just sneak in a few boards here and there, he actively hunts them, boxes out, times his jumps, high points the ball. It's not just hustle, it's technique. And in today's NBA, where most teams play small, having a guard who can rebound like that gives you a huge advantage. It allows you to go small without giving up size. It sparks transition offense. It erases mistakes. It gives you extra possessions in clutch time. He might not be the flashiest player, but on the glass, Podziemski is a problem for opponents. And every team that passed on him is realizing that now. Let's zoom out. Stephen Curry is in the final phase of his legendary career. He's still elite, but the Warriors know the clock is ticking. Every decision from here on out has to factor in two things: preserving Steph's greatness and building for life after him. Podziemski might be the rare bridge between both eras. He complements Steph now, defensively with hustle, with ball-handling relief, but he also represents what could come next, a new identity. A retooled core that learns from Steph's unselfish greatness and keeps the culture alive. He's not replacing Curry, no one can, but he's giving Golden State a chance to sustain something meaningful after Curry's story ends. And in that sense, Podziemski isn't just a role player. He's part of the franchise's legacy plan. Let's be honest, if Brandon Podziemski were drafted by a team like the Pistons or Wizards, he'd be averaging 17 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds, and the media would be calling him a future all-star. But because he's on a stacked, structured Warriors roster, his numbers don't pop like that. And that's by design. Golden State doesn't force-feed young players. They integrate them. They teach them to win the right way. And in doing so, they create players who can thrive in big moments when it really counts. So while the box scores may not scream superstar, anyone watching closely knows Podziemski is already one of the smartest, most complete rookies in the league. And if he keeps this up, it won't be long before the rest of the NBA takes notice. He's not just playing winning basketball, he's learning how to lead. Look at his box score and you might miss it. 8 points here, 6 rebounds there, maybe a couple assists. But what the numbers don't show is how Podziemski impacts the game flow. He's tipping passes that turn into fast breaks. He's setting ghost screens that free up shooters. He's boxing out bigger guys so Draymond can grab the board. He's making the extra pass that leads to the hockey assist. That's why coaches love him. That's why players trust him. And that's why fans who watch the game, not just the stats, know exactly how valuable he is. Brandon Podziemski is the definition of a winning player. At first glance, Podziemski looks like a clean-cut, unselfish rookie who's just happy to be here. But don't be fooled. Beneath that polite team-first persona is a killer. He wants your minutes. He wants your role. He wants to outwork you. Whether it's in summer league, practice, or crunch time in a nationally televised game, he shows zero fear. That's not just competitiveness. That's a mindset. The kind that separates guys who stick around from guys who lead franchises. He doesn't have to scream like Draymond or shimmy like Steph. His fire burns quieter, but the Warriors are a team that values intelligence, sacrifice, and high-character players. From Andre Iguodala to Sean Livingston, that culture has created a legacy, and Podziemski is now part of it. He fits because he absorbs it. He watches film with the vets. He plays unselfish ball. He communicates constantly. You can see him adopting the habits of champions. That's not coincidence, it's osmosis. Being in the Bay shaped Steph-Klay-Draymond. Now it's shaping Brandon. And you can already see the signs that he's next in line to carry that torch. Here's the mistake teams make. They chase athleticism, wingspan, vertical pop. And they forget about the guys who just know how to play. Podziemski was passed over in the lottery because he didn't fit the upside prototype. But now, just a year later, he's outplaying multiple top 10 picks. The Warriors saw through the trap. They valued basketball feel, toughness, and IQ. And now, they're reaping the reward. He's not a flashy 19-year-old project. He's a functional 21-year-old hooper with a real ceiling, and a floor higher than most of his peers. Back when Kerr took over in 2014, the Warriors built their identity around ball movement, spacing, and positional versatility. Now, with the dynasty aging, they need a new blueprint. Enter Podziemski. He's not the prototype for the last version of the Warriors. He's the prototype for the next one. A combo guard who can rebound, initiate, switch on defense, and run a read and react system. He doesn't need the ball to be effective. He doesn't need plays run for him. He just plays the right way. If the Warriors want to stay relevant beyond Steph, Draymond, and Klay, Podziemski might be the bridge they build on. OM players chase stats. Others chase wins. Podziemski is the second kind. You talk to guys who've played with him and they'll tell you he raises the intensity of everyone around him. He communicates, he competes, he never gives less than full effort, and winning tends to follow guys like that. It's not a coincidence he helped elevate Santa Clara. It's not a fluke that Kerr keeps trusting him in high-leverage moments. Podziemski brings leadership you can't teach, toughness you can't fake, and a commitment to winning that's becoming the heartbeat of the Warriors' next generation. In the NBA, pressure reveals who you are, and Podziemski, he never blinks. Late in games, he's calm. He doesn't force shots. He makes the smart pass, boxes out, rotates, and always knows the clock. That kind of late-game composure is rare for a rookie, and it shows he's wired differently. Brandon doesn't need to score 30 to take over a game. Sometimes, he controls it just by not making mistakes. That's a high-level trait, and it's what championship teams rely on when everything's on the line. The Warriors' coaching staff says Podziemski is one of the last guys to leave the gym. They say he's always watching film, always asking questions, always trying to learn. He's not coasting, he's grinding. And that's the difference between staying in the league and leaving a legacy. Brandon knows he wasn't gifted the job, he earned it. And he plays like someone who refuses to lose that opportunity. In an era where some young players rely on potential, Podziemski relies on preparation. Brandon's not loud on social media, he doesn't go viral every week. But fans are starting to notice. Clips of his hustle, no-look dimes, and big-time rebounds are circulating. Broadcasters are calling him one of the smartest rookies we've seen in years. And Warriors fans? They're falling in love with his old-school, team-first vibe. In a league full of flashy personalities, Podziemski is letting his game do the talking, and people are listening. His media presence is growing the right way, organically, with respect. Here's the biggest tell. Steph, Draymond, and Klay trust him. They pass him the ball in crucial moments. They let him call out switches. They let him lead the second unit. That doesn't happen by accident. Podziemski earned it with defense, with sacrifice, with intelligent play. That's rare for any rookie, but especially on a team where rings are the standard. If the championship core is going to pass the torch, it has to be to someone they believe in. And right now, that guy might be Brandon Podziemski. You'd think a 6'5" guard without elite speed or wingspan wouldn't hold his own on defense. But Podziemski does more than hold his own. He disrupts. It's all about anticipation. He reads plays before they happen. He knows when to rotate, when to help, when to jump the passing lane. That's why Kerr keeps him in during key stops. He may not be locking up all-stars one-on-one, but he's helping force turnovers, shut off driving lanes, and change possessions. His defense isn't flashy, it's just effective. Before the season, nobody expected Brandon to be a cornerstone. Maybe a nice rotational guard, maybe a high IQ backup. But now, he's forcing the Warriors to rethink everything. Do they need to move on from Moody to free up more minutes? Do they give him the keys to the second unit long-term? Could he eventually replace Klay in the starting lineup? These are real questions now. Because Podziemski isn't just a nice surprise, he's a real piece. And he might just be the foundation of the Warriors' next great era. Brandon Podziemski wasn't supposed to be here. Not like this. Not this fast. But here he is, changing games, earning trust, and redefining what the future of the Golden State Warriors looks like. As the dynasty evolves and tough decisions loom, one thing is clear. Podziemski isn't just along for the ride, he is the ride. This story is just getting started. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives on the Warriors and the future of the game.